On today's exploration along the dead road, the old Dixie Highway, our first stop is the haunting ruins of Bell Tavern in Park City, Kentucky. Just 8 miles from Mammoth Cave, this quiet patch of land was once a bustling gateway for tourists from around the world. But over 100 years ago, this place looked very different. Imagine stagecoaches rumbling down a dirt road, packed with travelers from nearby towns and distant cities, all headed towards one destination, Mammoth Cave. And before making that final journey underground, almost everyone stopped right here. Bell's Tavern was built in the early 1800s by Revolutionary War veteran Colonel William Bell, right at the crossroads of a major stage routes between Louisville and Nashville. It quickly became the last comfortable stop before travelers continued the 8-mile trip to Mammoth Cave. Colonel Bell welcomed travelers with his legendary hospitality and something even more legendary. His homemade peach brandy mixed with honey became famous across the region and even beyond. Some visitors said it was a perfect joy before the journey's end. And after a long ride in a dusty stagecoach, I'm guessing nobody complained. Bell's Tavern became one of the most well-known stopping points in Kentucky. Politicians, wealthy tourists, and everyday travelers all passed through these doors on their way to see the cave. But that story took a turn in 1853 when Colonel Bell died. The tavern was taken over by his son's widow, Maria Bell, who later remarried businessman George Proctor. Together they continued running the tavern and serving travelers along the Mammoth Cave Road. Then disaster struck, and those doors that were once open burned to the ground. Rather than rebuild in another wooden inn, Maria and George planned for something more ambitious. A massive stone tavern that would not burn down like the original. Construction began, and thick limestone walls rising from the ground, but those walls only reached about 15 feet before history intervened. In 1861, the Civil War erupted and construction stopped overnight. The tavern was never finished, and the stone skeleton standing here today is exactly where work ended. But the story of this place is tied to more than just the tavern. About a mile and a half north of here, in July of 1859, something remarkable was discovered. A man named Jesse Coates was lowered into a newly found cave. When his lantern hit the walls, he saw sparkling calcite crystal that looked like diamonds. The discovery became known as Diamond Caverns. The Proctor family is deeply involved in the cave tourism boom that followed that discovery. George Proctor managed Diamond Caverns, while his brother Larkin Proctor operated the Mammoth Cave Hotel and ran the stage line that connected Bell's Tavern, Diamond Caverns, and Mammoth Cave, as well as other caves later on in the 1800s. Together, they were helping build one of the earliest tourism industries in the United States. In 1859, another key figure stepped in, Senator Joseph Underwood, Maria's uncle. He purchased Diamond Caverns and surrounding land while also serving as trustee for the Mammoth Cave estate, helping turn the cave into a major commercial attraction. That same year, the Louisville and Nashville Railroad reached the nearby towns of Cave City and Three Forks, which is Park City. Travel to the caves was getting easier. Tourism was booming, and the Bell's Tavern should have been right at the center of it all, as it was there when the Civil War started. That changed everything. Tourism slowed, construction halted, and the unfinished tavern slowly became the ruins that we see today. Even though Bell's Tavern is no longer the crown jewel that it used to be, this is still the epicenter for the Cave Wars, a feud between developers, businessmen, and people trying to get rich quick off the land and off the curiosity of what the caves are, where the caves lead, and what could be found in the caves. There are echoes of every life that passed through here, and paranormal investigators report shadow figures pacing the yard, strange footsteps, cold spots, and even lights, not only here but also in the cemetery just a stone's throw away. As we continue walking these hollow grounds, there's an old tree that used to stand here, and this tree probably provided shade to the many travelers that came through via stagecoach, train, car, and even by foot. There's also an old well here that watered the horses and provided water for the travelers as well.
Fantastic hearing, to tell you. Ooh, it's down there.
The old truck parked in between the Grand Victorian Inn and Bell's Tavern ruins. These skeletons are a reminder of the many people that passed through here, who never made it to the caverns they wanted to discover.
I was hoping it had mirrors on here, but they're kind of gone, aren't they? I said, can somebody block out the sun for me? There's like a reflection like right on the windshield right there.
Provides a great place for Barbie to use as the jungle gym as she tries to get the perfect shot of the skeletons inside.
Get good stuff? Got any good stuff on there?
Maybe. We don't know yet. We always think it's good stuff, and then we open up the app and it's shit.
Just a stone's throw from that truck stands the Grand Victorian Inn, originally built as a Mint's Hotel. This was built at the heart of the Mammoth Cave Railroad Junction, also called Glasgow Junction and Three Forks, as previously mentioned. It was constructed in the late 1800s when small dummy trains carried visitors straight to the Mammoth Cave, and stagecoaches still dropped travelers off here. Some checked in and never checked out, as I mentioned. The inn's history includes being a hotel to tourists, a boarding school to boys, and a nursing home to the elderly, leaving its mark on the building's energy, and it's a perfect recipe for hauntings. Paranormal investigators report doors that open on their own, as of course they would, footsteps in empty halls, and shadowed figures. This building sits where three eras of travel converge: stagecoaches, trains, early automobiles, and even on foot.
What?
Isn't Eugene Proctor the dude that's responsible for some of that stuff over there? I saw that name on there, on the sign.
Perhaps. I thought it was just Bell, but
The Bell Cemetery is the final resting place for locals, stagecoach travelers, and victims of the Civil War, sudden illness, whatever else may have come to end somebody's life in the late 1800s. Weatherstones mark graves that predate most modern structures, and the air carries a faint sound of clip-clopping hooves and creaking wagons. The cemetery is a reminder that the old Dixie Highway has always been more than a road. It's been a corridor of life, death, and memory in tourism, where Kentucky's tourism first started,
What is that?
where history and spirits coexist in the site. The next stop on Old Dixie Highway is Cave City, Kentucky, a small town tucked in the shadows of Mammoth Cave National. And we're going to be checking out Ace Coffee Company, which is housed in the old Ace Theater, the heart of downtown from the 30s through the 50s, once a place where everyone met before a movie or a dance. Today it's a restored community hub, thanks to one local who refuses to let this town fade into history. And that would be Leticia Cline, the girlfriend to Mike Wolfe of American Pickers. And she isn't your average small-town restaurateur. She's a verified badass and a motorcycle racer, an entrepreneur that's put down roots here. She's been instrumental in breathing new life into downtown streets. Cline and partners revived the dive bar next door, and now the neon bright Ace revival brings community, creativity, and cool back to Broadway. And most of the street has some obvious signs of Mike and Leticia's influence if you look inside the windows and check out some of the cars.
Look, he's like, absolutely not.